me introduce myself. My name is Rezaul Haidar Fahim, studying at International Program for Islamic Economics and Finance, studying as an international full-time student with a fully funded scholarship. As the master of ceremony, I want to say welcome to our lovely participants and our honorable speakers and guest speakers to our today's event, which is public lecture on the topic of sustainable economic development and various perspectives, organized by Study Program Economics and Magister of Economics Program, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Now, I would like to mention you the agendas we have arranged today. The first agenda is opening, and our second agenda is opening remarks by our head of the Economics Study Program. And then we will move to our third agenda, which is the main session of today's event, featuring the presentation of materials from our two distinguished speakers, respectively. Let us start the first agenda, that is opening, by reciting Basmallah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our next agenda is opening remarks by our head of the Economic Studies Program, who is none other than Professor Dr. Indah Sabtuningsi, SE, MSI. So, Professor Indah, the time and the stage is yours. Can we have an applause for our
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahumma shalli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Raditu billahi rabban wa bil islami dinan wa bi Muhammadin nabiyyan wa rasulan. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni. Good afternoon, everyone. I humbly welcome you all on behalf of the Economic Study Program, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, for the prestigious occasion of Southeast Asia. It is a great privilege also to welcome our guest lecturer this afternoon, Professor Dr. Pratibadi Anand from University of Bradford, and Bapak Profesor Imamuddin Yuliadi as the head of Magister of Economics UMY, and also Professor Eko Priyo Purnomo, and also Bapak Susilo Nur Aji Cokro Darsono PhD as a lecturer of Economics and Public Policy, subject in Economic Study Program, Faculty of Economics and Business as a moderator. And thank you all the participants and guests. Welcome to this event. This afternoon, we will learn more about the sustainable economics development in various perspectives. And I hope this event will highlight how Indonesia prepared to face the challenge of global issues related to the sustainable development. In closing, I wish to express my gratitude to all participants for their participation and contribution to this public lecture. I wish you all very fruitful guest lecturing. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, our distinguished professor and head of the Economic Study Program, for your opening remarks. Honorable audience,
Oh iya, iya, iya.
The Honorable Professor Ed Sabtukiningsi as the head of Economic Study Program, Honorable Professor Pratifadi Anand, and then Honorable Prof. Dr. Imamuddin Yuladi, Honorable Prof. Dr. Ekonomi, and also Dr. Rizal Ramdhani as the IDOC Secretary. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we would like to hear the lecture from two professors from Bradford University and also from our campus, from UMY, about the economics development in the various perspectives, especially in the public policy and in the terms of sustainability. We appreciate you taking time of your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you will learn a lot today, and we have lined up for you to be fruitful and engaging. Our lecture today is Sustainable Economic Development, which will be presented by Professor Pratifadi Anand and Prof. Imamuddin Yuladi. And to begin to this program, we are pleased to invite Prof. Anand and Prof. Imamuddin to the stage. Welcome, Prof. Please give applause to the professor. And I would like to present the CV of Prof. Pratifadi Anand. Prof. Anand is specialized in environmental economics and public policy with a focus on the interface of urban economy, environment, and sustainability. And Prof. Anand has held various leadership program positions, including as the head of Center for International Development at Bradford from 2010 until 2015. And currently he is PI of 3 years British academic funded project on infrastructure governance for inclusive, smart, and sustainable city. And he was the team leader and principal author of the Mongolian National Human Development Report on 2011, titled From Vulnerability to Sustainability for UNDP. And previously, he had co-organized and led 2 international workshops at Cambridge 2006 and 2009, and a major international conference at Bradford. And his teaching interest is critical perspective on sustainable development, governance and development, public policy analysis, and sustainable cities. And he also had the winner of Vice Chancellor Award for excellent teaching in 2017. And his publications also have launched in international reputable journal in Scopus and also Work of Science. So today he would like to talk with us about the sustainable economic development. So before Prof. Anand continues his lecture, this time I would like to present one more CD from our beloved professors. He is Professor Imamuddin Yuladi, professor in our departments. And his qualification is microeconomics and also Islamic economics and finance. He has many publications in Islamic economics and also has expertise in financial supervisor and supervisor of LPPK, and also Bantu Regency Web Council, and BMT also. And he also have a lot of publication in Scopus on and Web of Science journal. So today, Prof. Imamuddin Yuladi will discuss about the sustainable policy in the Islamic economics perspective. So I hope all of you today will have a fruitful knowledge discussions how the public policy in England and in Indonesia, or especially in the perspective of Islamic economy. So stay tuned, and today Prof. Anand will start his presentations. Time is yours, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I use this? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's a pleasure to be back in UMY. I have visited many times before, but this is the first time after the pandemic. So I'm really delighted to be here. Second, since this is the opportunity, I can also help you to learn to pronounce my name and tell you a little bit about it. So my first name is Anand. Anand means joy. Yeah, Anand, yes, Sanskrit. And the other part, which is coming before it, is our surname. It is called Prativadi Bhayankaram. So this is a title given to one of our ancestors in approximately year 1378 or something like that. So in India at that time, there were many competitions. These are competitions of argument and logic. So anybody can participate. These are open competitions. And then you participate, and if you can keep winning, then at the end of the competition, you get a title or a prize award. So one of our ancestors, he was very good in arguments. So he was winning all of these competitions. So when he entered the competition, other people used to say, oh, there is no point in going to the competition because he's going to win it. So all the opposition used to leave the competition. So he won the title, Prativadi Bhayankaram, means one who is very difficult to argue against, or one who is always winning in argument. So I'm still not that great, but I'm trying my best. Okay, so that is Prativadi Bhayankaram. That's my surname. Anand is my first name. I'm head of the Department of Peace Studies and International Development at the University of Bradford for last 5 years. This is a department which is very historic. This is celebrating its 50th year this year, Golden Jubilee. In 1973, it was founded as the UK's first Department of Peace Studies. Many universities have departments of economics or business or engineering, but very few universities have peace studies department. So peace means, how to promote peace. What are the causes of war? What are the causes of conflict? At this very moment, we are painfully reminded of the possibilities of conflict. There are two major conflicts unfolding at the moment. The Ukraine conflict is still going on more than a year. And then the very tragic events that are happening in Israel and Gaza. So all of us are very much kind of connected as a humanity. We want peace. We want to find out how we can promote peace, right? So if you're studying economics or business, don't think that peace is not connected with it. Because if you promote prosperity, in the long run, we know that prosperity is the surest way for peace, right? So to create prosperity, then we want to make sure that we are using resources efficiently, but also effectively and carefully. If you use resources too fast, then it's not good. If you use resources but not effectively, that is also not good. So in a nutshell, sustainable development is basically about how to use resources carefully. The word carefully also has ethical notation. Yeah. So at the heart of sustainability, it is not about natural resources. The heart of sustainability is an ethical question. How do we share the resources provided by this planet for the benefit of everyone, including non-human beings, including animals, including plants? But we have to take something from nature to survive, because we cannot survive otherwise. So how we can be careful in what we take from nature? So there are two different kinds of resources in nature. Some don't have life. We call them natural resources like minerals, yeah, oil, gas, etc. They don't have life. So the ethical question there is slightly different. But there are others who have life. Plants have life, animals have life. So when we are taking from nature anything, somebody is getting a call. When is it okay? So when we are taking from nature and those are living beings, then there are different kinds of ethical reasoning, right? So what right have we got to take another life, right? Well, we have to survive, so you might argue, and various kind of both theological or moral philosophies provide some tools for us. Mahatma Gandhi is saying, most of you would have heard, said that earth has enough for humans' need, but not for human greed. So we live in a world of plenty. At the same time, we also have a lot of people who are going hungry, right? So in that context, we want to understand what can we do, what can we understand, how we can understand the complexity of sustainability. I have been working on sustainable development almost my entire professional life. So I can fill the whole afternoon talking to you, boring you to death about various things. So instead, I thought, okay, it's a Friday afternoon, so I have to make it a little bit easy and interesting. So I'll focus on just a few things. So can we go to the next slide? Next slide.
Next slide, next.
Sorry. Yeah. So we'll start with a little bit about SDGs, and then I want to share with you. I have done a lot of work on water scarcity, and then waste management, and then climate action. So these are three things we want to focus on, and then we'll see. We can stop anytime. If you have any question, don't hesitate. But many of you are studying economics. Put your hand up if you are studying economics. What is your major? Ekonomi. Almost everybody. Okay, very good. Can you give an example of an incentive? Incentive. Can you give an example of an incentive? Incentive. So, this is an incentive, right? Many of you are here not because of right?
The stuff is out incentive right now.
Yeah. Another incentive outside, yeah, music. So I have to compete. So second economic principle, first economic principle is incentive.
Yeah.
If we want to understand behavior, we need to understand what are the incentives. The second economic principle is competition. I have a competition now. I have to do better than that song. Otherwise, your mind is being pulled by that song. So I have to attract your mind back here. Okay. I'll try my best. And music is always very powerful. So it's impossible to compete with music. I'll do my best. Let's get to the next slide. So yeah, sustainable development goals. So how many of you know SDGs? SDGs. Okay, a few hands up. Right? Okay. Next one. Sorry. Next one. Okay, so you would have seen this kind of picture about sustainable development goals. In 2015, all nations agreed the sustainable development goals to be achieved by 2030. The overall summary of sustainable development goals is very easy to remember. Leave no one behind. Keyword, leave no one behind. That's the overall summary of sustainable development goals. What date is today? Which day in November? 17. So sustainable development goals are also 17. Easy to remember. Okay, 17. Okay, next one. So how is Indonesia doing in terms of sustainable development goals? This is the last year's report, latest report. So Indonesia is doing okay. SDG index score is 17. It is 75th among 166 nations, right? So 75th rank. Okay, but I think there are things which can be improved. So that's where you guys come. Next one. Let's do a little bit of a test, like a quiz. Okay, next one. So do you want to guess which SDG is this picture about? If you know, put your hand up. Yeah. Renewable energy. Perfect. Which one is that? Answer. It's okay. The renewable energy is SDG 7. 7. Okay. 7. Next one. Next one. Which SDG is this? Don't shout out. If you know the answer, put your hand up. Health, yeah. So yeah, access to good quality health. So which one is that? SDG 3. Number 3. Very good. Next one. Next one. No, sorry. Previous one. Climate change. So which one? Which number? 13. 13. Yeah, very good. Next one.
Because we just make a proposal.
Okay. Next one. Anybody from the last row?
Food security.
Sorry. No, you know too much. So I'll come back here. Anybody in the last row? Last row? Oh, yeah. Okay, ma'am. SDG.
8. You say 8.
8 is not there. So SDG 15. Okay. Perfect. Correct.
Correct.
So life on land. That's what it is. SDG life on land. Next one. This one. Anybody here? Anybody here? This one. What is it about? Recycling, yeah? Yeah, which SDG is related to recycling? Anybody is answering on online? No answer in online. SDG? SDG?
SDG 4.
12. Yeah,
7.
okay. So, this last one, this is about, the answer is there. Which SDG is this? This is about inequality. Yeah, SDG 10. Perfect. Well done. So now we can see where Indonesia is doing well, where Indonesia is doing okay, or where it is not doing very well. So red color means not great. Green means doing very well. Yeah. Similarly, the arrow is pointing up means improving. Arrow horizontal means just staying the same. So which one Indonesia should prioritize? So we don't see any green there. Not yet. Yeah. But there are some which are really major challenges. Yeah. We can see there are some which are major challenges. So those are the ones we want to focus on. Luckily for Indonesia, you don't have water scarcity, but I will take you through it a little bit. Okay. Go to the next one. So income inequality in Indonesia, we have just one indicator. This is, for example, these are two graphs. Some of you may be familiar. Next one. Yeah. So the one on the left is the share of top 10% population, share of income of the top 10% of the population. You're all economists, so you know the income inequality, Gini index, etc. This is the share of top 10% in Indonesia, and on the right hand side is the share of the bottom 20%, bottom 20% population. So we can see the top share is almost 31%. The top 10% population have 31% of your GDP, whereas the bottom 10%, bottom 20% have just 7%. So we can see, and that gap is widening because the share of the poor is falling. Yeah, You can see that graph is falling. So the share of the poorest people is falling, and the share of the richest people is increasing. So that means income inequality is widening. Yeah. So think of income inequality as a crocodile. The crocodile mouth is getting bigger and bigger. So we don't want that. Okay. Next one. Right. So we have just briefly covered SDGs. So we go to part 2 now. Yeah. Next one. So what is scarcity? Well, you live in it's raining at the moment. It's a season as well. So in Indonesia, I think you are blessed not to have water scarcity, but globally we need to understand because we can't achieve food security without water scarcity, without kind of managing water resources carefully. Food security is an important issue for Indonesia. We saw that was red color. So we can therefore focus on that. Okay, next one, please. So I have done a lot of work in this area. There are some books I have published and reports I can share these with you. Next one, please. Okay, so I have 5 countries here. I want you to guess which country has very high water scarcity, right? So do you think any of them have water scarcity?
Yeah.
Which one? India. Okay. Any other?
Singapore.
Singapore has water scarcity. Anybody been to Singapore?
Yeah.
Have you been to Singapore?
Yes, Singapore.
Yeah. So you have to really queue for water in the morning, right? In Singapore, 5 o'clock you have to wake up and take your bucket.
Oh,
No,
Guyana.
water is flowing in the tap, right? Okay. Right. Next one, please. So we have 5 countries. The description here and 5 names there. So I want you to match a country on the edge of water scarcity. Which one is? Any person in the third row here? 1, 2, 3, third row. Anybody? Which one you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe Anna, it's difficult. What do you mean by the edge?
On the edge of almost water scarcity, not quite water scarcity, but it's about to get water scarcity. Edge means just. Can you guess? Just guess, yeah. Yes. We are in friends, yeah, among friends, so we should feel free to express.
5.
Otherwise, we can't learn. Yeah. If you sit like this, we can't learn. You have to open your mouth. You have to open our mind. Okay. So, yes, sir, you with the T-shirt. No, the one behind. Just guess. Good. Okay, let's see. Next one. B, a country that has adequate water resources. You start with blue T-shirt.
Kuwait.
Yeah.
Lanka.
Number 2, which country is in it? China, a country that has adequate water resources. China, okay. You sir in the last row with the water. Which one do you think? Number 3. Yeah. A country that has a lot of water resources. Just guess.
Country.
China. Okay, let's take China. Okay. You ma'am, there. With green color sandal. This one from you. Yeah. Yellow, no. The lady sitting next to another person wearing green spot. There are 3 of them wearing spot.
Yes, a mask.
What? Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Number 4, a country that definitely has water. Yeah, you can give it any of them. Yeah, stop.
Stop.
Yeah.
Ya, kananmu.
In that row.
Kacamata. Bukan.
Anyone in that row.
Yeah, anyone. Terserah.
Okay.
Number 5.
Go ahead.
Yang D yang mana?
For D.
5.
Singapore.
Okay, definitely has water scarcity. Okay, I'm learning something about Singapore here. Okay, last one. On this side, maybe the gentleman with the check shirt. Behind. Yeah. So, yeah. A country that has acute water scarcity. No checking on Google. No checking on Google.
Egypt.
Egypt. Okay. Right. So next slide, we can see the answers. Go ahead. Keep going ahead. Next slide. Keep going. Yeah. A country on the edge of water scarcity is India. So you're right. Next one. A country that has adequate water resources, China. Number 2, number 3. A country with a lot of water resources, Guyana. Yeah. Number 4. A country that definitely has water scarcity, Singapore. Country has acute water scarcity. Next one is Egypt. So
Where is Guyana located?
Guyana is in South America, in the northeast edge of South America. Yeah, it's in the Caribbean. Yeah. It's not an island. It is in the mainland, but it is part of the Caribbean. Because it is English speaking. There are 3 countries colonized by 3 different people. Dutch people colonized a part that became Suriname. French people colonized the part that became French Guyana. The English people colonized the part that became English Guyana, which later became Guyana. So that is Guyana. It's in the northeast part of, it's north of Brazil. Yeah. Okay. Next one. So in the top, I have next slide.
Next slide.
Next slide. Next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do we? Yeah. How do we know which country has scarcity? We need scientific measure, right? We cannot have subjective judgments because previously we were just guessing, right? So we need some scientific basis. So here it is called. Sorry. What happened? Oh no, previous. Yeah, stay here. So there is a measure called amount of renewable fresh water cubic meters per capita. So the total amount of fresh water that is renewable, not non-renewable, renewable, and that divided by population gives us cubic meters per capita. So that is the measure. So we can see the figures. So Egypt has 10 cubic meters per capita. 1 cubic meter is how many liters? 1 cubic meter is how many liters? 1,000 liters. 1,000 liters. 1 cubic meter is 1,000 liters. So Egypt has 10
di YouTube
cubic meters. That means 10,000 liters per capita. This is for the whole year. So if we divide by 365, we get the amount of water per
Kalau yang
day.
lagi join juga
Yeah.
YouTube ada.
So 10,000 divided by 365. Yeah. 10,000 divided by 300 is already 30. Yeah. So roughly, if you are making approximate calculation, so 10,000 divided by 365, 10,000 divided by 300 is 30. So 30 liters is not much per capita. Yeah. So we can see that in Egypt, water scarcity is very severe. Right? Singapore also has very little water, 106 cubic meters per capita. But Singapore is very rich, and also it has a very friendly neighbor. So the friendly neighbor is Malaysia. So Malaysia has, yeah, Johor State.
Yeah.
So Johor State has a river which is, they have an agreement with Singapore to give a lot of water from Johor State to Singapore at a very small price. Right. So I had a PhD student from Johor who's a politician. He wanted to do research about the injustice of this agreement in Malaysia and Singapore. So anyway, so those are the measures, but still those are cubic meters, but those don't tell us how much is what. Next slide, please.
So Indonesia has 7,500 cubic meters per capita. Yeah? So you have a lot of water. So that's why you don't have water scarcity, right? But we have a definition from FAO. FAO, you know what is FAO? FAO? Food and Agricultural Organization. Yeah, it's a United Nations body. Yeah, FAO. So FAO has defined water scarcity like this: if a country has less than 1,000 cubic meters per capita, it is called water stress. Okay. Next one. Sorry, we lost the slides. Okay, next one. So if it has if it has less than 600 cubic meters per capita, we call it water scarcity. If it has less than 300 cubic meters per capita, we call it acute water scarcity. Acute, right? So those are the indicators. That's how we can define water scarcity. There is another approach also. That approach is called how much percentage of renewable water resource we are taking. If it is more than 50%, then it is called scarcity, right? So that's a different measure. So both of these measures tell us that how much fresh water is there in a country and how much we are taking and how many people have to share it. These are the things which will tell us if there is water scarcity, right? So from that, we have to understand. So you are economists, you are scientists, you are educated people. We cannot just, use subjective judgments. We need a proper way of measuring and proper way of defining things, right? So when we say water scarcity, we need a proper indicator. So that's what this indicator is. So from this, we understand, okay, water scarcity can happen even if the same amount of water resources are there, but if population is growing, your denominator per capita, right? So your denominator is increasing, then there will be more water scarcity in the future, right? So then that means we have to start planning for next 20, 30, 40 years, how we can use water more carefully, how we can recycle, how we can capture water and use it more effectively and stop wasting, right? So these are some of the things that I think we need to really take care of. Next one, please. Okay, so I think I mentioned, proceed, next one. I did a lot of analysis on looking at water scarcity, and then I found something interesting. The amount of water available in a country in terms of freshwater resources per capita does not automatically translate into how many people in that country have access to basic water supply. UN has two definitions about access to water. One is called access to basic water supply. Second one is access to safely managed water supply. Safely managed water supply is better. That means there is a water treatment plant and the water is treated and it is being supplied. That is safely managed. Very few people are lucky enough to have safely managed water. Most countries, most people in the world have access only to basic water supply. But many people don't even have access to basic water supply. So that's the problem. But what we find from this graph, it's difficult to see, I know, but on the horizontal axis is we have the cubic meters per capita amount of water. All of these countries are less than 1,000 cubic meters. So according to FAO definition, all of these have water stress. But the vertical axis is percentage of population having access to basic water supply. And we can see many dots close to 100%. So even though a country has very little freshwater resources per capita, it is able to achieve 100% or 95% of population having access to basic water, right? So that's what we have to remember. So when somebody tells you that, oh, in my country, only 40% people have access to water because our country is very dry, we don't have enough water resources, you have to remember this graph and tell them that you are bluffing. Yeah, tell them that that's not correct. The amount of fresh water nature has given is enough. If you really want to supply that to people, the failure is caused by failure of institutions or failure of policy or failure of finance rather than by nature. Don't blame it on nature. That's what you have to tell them. Okay, remember this graph. If you come across anybody saying that, oh, in my country there is no rains, so there is a lot of water scarcity, you have to tell them, no, water scarcity is caused by failure of human institutions and the policies, not by nature. Don't blame it on nature. Nature has given enough. There are countries here with less than 200 cubic meters per capita, but they're all having 100% population with access to water. Yeah, they're all, you can see the dots at the top. Yeah, so that's what I want you to remember. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a journey. So this is, now we are in the southern tip of Bombay. Bombay is one of the big metropolis in India, around 17 million population. It's a financial capital of India. So we were doing some study there with some of the very poorest people. So our collaborative organization is an NGO based there. They're doing work in this kind of slum. So this is a slum at the bottom tip of Bombay, very close to the city center. From here, about 5 kilometers is the stock exchange of Bombay. Yeah, stock exchange is where billions of rupees are traded every day. So this is very close to center of wealth. Okay, so this is a slum which is based in a land which is owned by the Port Trust. The Port Trust has land here, and these people came here about 120 years back, and they came from southern part of India. So many of them speak my language. I'm Tamil, so we are from southern part of India. So these people came to Bombay about 120 years back, and they're living there. And so in this settlement itself, I know it's getting very hot. I think the air conditioners are not working. So we have another competition. So disincentive. Disincentive. Scarcity. There's scarcity of electricity, or so we need more renewable energy. Are you okay? Yeah. Shall we continue? Yeah. So think of the people in that slum. I'm sure they're hotter than us. Yeah. Yeah. So there are about 30,000 people living in the slum. 27,000 people. And this is, but if you ask the Port Trust, they will say, oh, nobody is living in our land. They will tell you. Because officially they can't say that people are living in their land. If they say that, then they have to provide services to them. So officially they will deny that anybody is allowed there. So there is a lot of legal difficulty. Municipal corporation, which is a local government, wants to provide water to them, but they can't provide because they won't be allowed to enter. Port Trust is national government body. Municipal corporation is a local government. So national government body is not allowing them to lay down pipelines in this area. So they can't have access to water, right? So next one, please. So in front of every house, we see these drums because they have, a private individuals, enterprising individuals who come say, do you want some water? Okay, if you join my association, you have to pay every month 100 rupees, then we'll give you access. So you pay 100 rupees, then you get a little plastic tube coming to your house, but it will only come 20 minutes in a day. So when it comes, you have to fill up the drum. So everybody has drums, yeah, in front of every house. Next one, please. So we can see this. In fact, some of these drums have even a chain and a lock because it is a scarce resource. Your economist, scarcity adds value. Anything that is scarce has high value. So when it becomes water is scarce, water has value. So you have to guard it, you have to protect it. So they have put locks and keys and all those things. Okay, next one, please. Yeah. So and the drains are not working because they are clogged by waste. So there's a, when it rains, it can become really flooded. Next one, please. Okay, by this time we are not in that slum. We are now around 8 kilometers. We are now moving from the tip of Bombay. Bombay is like a peninsula. So we are moving from tip of Bombay. We have come about 8 kilometers. We are still not near the airport. We are just about halfway to the airport. Okay. So we can see the multi-storied building, right? But this used to be a slum in the past. So what the municipal government has done is invite private sector to build houses for the people living in the slums on the condition that once everybody in the slum is located, is given a proper house, then extra land, you can build whatever you like and you can sell to whomever you like at whatever price. So that is the incentive for the private sector. So then the private sector is coming there because they have the incentive, right? So what they do, the left-hand part, you can see the building is not looking great. That is given to the people in the slums. But the right-hand part, the private sector is selling in the market. So that's how the builder makes money. But at least people in the slums got proper house, yeah, and they got water supply and everything, things like that. So we are about 8 kilometers from the previous one. Next one, please. So now here we are almost close to the airport. This is just opposite the airport. Okay. How many houses do you think there are? How many houses? How many houses? Ma'am, you're with the fan. How many houses? Just guess. Just guess. You have a lot of buildings like this in Jakarta, not in Jogja, but yeah. Guess. How many you think? Just guess. Guess. Your guess is as good as mine. What do you think? 2000, let's say 2000. Yeah. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. One block is completed, so that has only 11, 12 stories. This one has 29 stories, so those two have 29. Yeah, 29 stories. Yeah. So in each story, maybe about 15 flats, 20 flats. Yeah, in each story. So 20 times 29, let's say 30. So 1500 in each of these tall buildings, and another 300 each. So 2100 houses. In each house, 5 people. So about 10,000 people. Small village. Yeah. So this is near the airport. But if somebody is building like that, that means they need to have water. Those people, the person in 29th floor is not coming down with a bucket in the morning. Yeah. Water has to reach them, right? So that means water is guaranteed for them. So where is this water coming from? So we went in search of that, like a detective. Okay. Next one, please. So now we are about 90 kilometers from Bombay. You can see the scene has changed. Yeah, it's paddy fields and mango, all this, almost like Jogja. Yeah. So we are now about 90 kilometers away from Bombay. It's a very rural area, agricultural area. Yeah. Still, we cannot see where the water is coming from. So we continued. Next one, please. So now we can see big pipelines. We are crossing a bridge. On both sides of the bridge are these pipelines, and these are quite big. So now we know, okay, there's a lot of water going from here. Let's go near. So then we went further. Next one. So here now we are in a village. You can't see the dam, but the dam is just behind, those trees. So there's a dam there, and there is water, and that's where those pipelines are going. But this village, which is right next to the dam, is not allowed to take water from the dam because that dam is for the city, because the money was paid by by the city. These local people, the village, they can't have access to water. But the government has given them money to build toilets. So these buildings are, these little ones you see in the front, they are toilets. So every house has got a toilet, but there is no water. So if you provide a toilet without water, what are people going to do? They use it as a chicken coop. Yeah, keep chickens in it or store firewood to stop it getting wet. So because even though you provided toilet, that's my timer. I'll take another 5 minutes. Is it okay? So we found that was strange. So SDG 6 is about safe access to water and sanitation. These people have got sanitation, but they don't have water. So you can't have, achieved SDG 6 by doing it. So there are challenges. And they are just stone's throw from the dam. Next one, please. So in this village, there is no fresh water supply. They have other salty water, which they use for toilet and washing. But for drinking water, they have to go to a well, which is about 500, meters, 500 yards. Yeah. So we wanted to look in the well, how the water is. Next one. So this is how the well is inside the well. So it's stone, very little water. Yeah. So we asked them, why are you still waiting here? They said, no, it flows slowly because the dam is there. The water, groundwater flows. Yeah. So it flows, but it's slow. It takes about 10 minutes. So they put the container there, and when it's full up, they will fill it up. Next one. Yeah. So that lady, she has already collected 2. Okay. Next one. She has now 4. Yeah. So what do you call her? What do you call her? Who is she? She is a superwoman. She's carrying 4. Water is heavy. Yeah. Water is heavy. So she's carrying 4 of them, and she's smiling at the camera. You can see her smile. It's difficult to see, but in the people in the front can see. Yeah. You can see her smile. Yeah. So that's why she's a superwoman. Yeah. Okay. Next one. And this is her child who is having a holiday. She's already practicing. Yeah. She's already practicing. Okay. So why I'm telling you this story? So we want to achieve SDGs and we want to reduce water scarcity. Yes, we have to provide water to people in the Bombay. Otherwise, you can't have prosperity. You can't have economic growth. But then how do we take care of people who are from the source region, from where the water is coming? How we can take care of them? So when my student from Johor was very annoyed that Singapore is taking a lot of water from Johor state, but there is a lot of poverty in Johor, I think he's thinking in the same way that we are giving water to Singapore, but what about prosperity? There has to be some way of sharing prosperity, right? So that's, I think that's the main story. Next one. So that's about water. Shall we talk about waste? Are you interested? Shall I continue? What do you think? Are we okay to continue? 5-6 minutes, not more. Yeah, are we okay? 5-6 minutes, okay? Yeah, okay. That's right. So the world is full of waste, and we are all part of that. We are all partly to blame. Yeah. So all the time we are using water bottles, we are using these things, and we are producing lot of waste. So in a way, all of us are part of the problem. We also can become part of the solution, right? Waste management problem cannot be solved unless we become part of the solution. At the moment, we are only part of the problem, right? So the challenge for you is how you can move from being part of the problem to becoming part of the solution. That's the challenge. There are fantastic innovations happening with regard to waste, and some of you will come up with fantastic ideas, and I will be writing about them because I will be researching, and then I'll find out, this person has come up with such an innovative idea. Are you aware of any innovations regarding waste? Maybe locally? Any innovations regarding waste? Yeah, go ahead. Plastic waste. Yeah, bag. Yeah. 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 So there is a black fly which has been specially. Yeah. Okay. So he gave two examples. One is from plastic, they're making bags. Yeah. So there is a very famous NGO, Kota Kita. Maybe you have heard of it. Kota Kita, your Indonesian NGO. They're social enterprise, social NGO. So they have been doing a lot of interesting work, exactly like these kinds of things. Similarly, they're working with the fishermen, for example. So a lot of waste from fish industry processing. So then they're using that as how to create that into improving soil, fertility, things like that. So we have to connect waste with another problem. So the maggots you mentioned, that is also very interesting. So a lot of food waste is created by restaurants and also domestic, households. We are eating, but we are not eating everything. There are some things which are left, and that we have to take care of, how to dispose of. So those kind of things are being used. If you leave it in the ground, it's not good because then it will generate methane. Methane is a very potent greenhouse gas. It causes even more climate change than carbon dioxide, right? So how to solve these kinds of problems? So a lot of very interesting NGOs are coming up with this. So this one is called a black fly larva. So black fly, there is a black fly, and the larvae, they eat the waste, the food waste. So they feed this waste, and they grow the larva, the black fly larva, and they feed the black fly larva to chickens. So chickens like them. So then the food waste connected to food production. So that's kind of another circularity. Okay, right. So we are told that something like 1.3 billion tons of waste we are producing every year. So when somebody gives 1.3 billion tons, I don't know how much it is. So I know that one truck like this is about 20 tons. So I want you to calculate 1.3 billion tons divided by 20. How much you get? 1.3 billion divided by 20 tons. How much we get? So 1.3 divided by 2, we get 6.2 billion. Divided by 10, we get 0.6 billion, which is 600 million. So 600 million trucks, we worked out. Okay, so that means the waste we generate in 1 year is 600 million trucks. If we put those trucks back to back, how long will it be? 600 million trucks around the world, maybe? Okay, next one. So that is the distance to moon is less than that. So if you put all those trucks, it will be back all the way to the moon and back. Yeah, that's how much distance. Distance to moon is 400,000 kilometers. Equator is 40,000 kilometers. So the length of all these trucks together is 1,072,500 kilometers. Okay, so you can work it out. So the reason I did this is just imagine how big the scale of the problem is. That's how much waste we are generating every year. Okay. So next one, please. So there just 2.70. I think we can skip this. Good. Lot of waste generation from East Asia and the Pacific because China is there. So as a result, a lot of waste is becoming here. Next one. Okay, so I think this is important. Waste generation rate. In general, low income, overall waste generation rate has been going up. So that is important. As economies become prosperous, the amount of waste generated also increases. And we all want prosperity. Indonesia, middle income country, you want to become high income country, then amount of waste is also going to go up. So you have to deal with how we are going to tackle that. Next one, please. So next one. We can go to the next one. Yeah, so this is important. So overall waste collection rate is almost 100% in high income countries, but it's only about 40% in low income. In low income countries, 60% of waste is left uncollected. Yeah, even in middle income countries, it is about 60%, 60 to 70%. That means if we are generating, let's say 1,000 tons, only 600 tons is being collected. Remaining 400 tons is just being left behind. So that causes also problems. That causes drains to be blocked. That causes diseases to be spread and things like that. So there is a lot more work to be done. Next one, please. Okay, I think it's the same. Next one. Next one. Yeah, this graph is important because you are economists. I just wanted to show you. You know about Kuznets and you know about income inequality. Yeah. So in this case, it is called environmental Kuznets curve. So on the horizontal axis is GDP per capita, income per capita. On the vertical axis is any environmental indicator. So for many environmental indicators, we find an inverted U relationship. That's why it's called environmental Kuznets curve. But in the case of waste, that is the bottom right. In the case of waste, as GDP per capita increases, amount of waste keeps increasing. There is no U. It's just keeping going up. Maybe it wants to go up all the way to moon. I already showed you the amount of waste we are generating is so high, right? So we have to remember this. So as countries become more prosperous, that means amount of waste is going to increase. So we have to stop that. We have to create solutions as part of prosperity. So sometimes people are saying that waste is wealth. So there are companies which are doing waste business and they are generating a lot of income from that. So you can generate income from waste in different ways. You can generate, like food, as we mentioned earlier. You can use waste as a feedstock into incineration, burning, right? But that has other consequences because both for climate and also air pollution. So you need to take into account how we should, carefully. I mentioned the word carefully right at the beginning. How we can deal with this problem carefully so that it doesn't become a unmanageable problem. Okay, next one. So yeah, I think we can continue. Climate action. I don't think we have time for that, even though that is the most urgent issue. Maybe we can take up in the questions. But let me just close it with summary of main 3-4 points. So number one, as economists, you have to understand incentives. It is the incentives which make companies or individuals do certain things or not do certain things. If there is too much pollution, the problem is caused not by bad understanding, but because incentives are encouraging companies to make that pollution. So if there is too much CO2 in the atmosphere, or if there is too much air pollution, if there is too much noise, you have to immediately think there is some incentive problem here. Somebody is incentivizing these people to behave this way. How we can change that? That's number one. Number two, there are structural relationships. That means environmental Kuznets curve tells us that even if we don't do anything, certain problems will get worse. So that means we have to accelerate action. Number three, the water scarcity problem that tells us that nature provides enough for our requirements if we manage it carefully. So innovative solutions are required to manage whatever natural resources that nature has given us, right? These are the three main messages. I can tell a few others, but I will stop there. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Farhana, for your nice presentations. I think to make this publication fast, the second presenter will present of Imam first. Then after that we have questions and answers. Okay, Prof. Imam, I think that's yours. That was good.
Okay, the Honorable Professor Anand, the Honorable Professor Eko, and especially the Honorable Sisilo, Chief Professor, and all participants. Good morning, everyone. How are you, everybody? Can you understand what the Prof. Anand present? 100%? Can you understand? Or 50%? Okay, so before I start my presentations, I permit Mr. Susiolo as moderator. Can I present with the combination between bahasa Indonesia and bahasa Inggris? Not bahasa Jawa and bahasa Inggris, no. Bahasa Indonesia and bahasa Inggris. Okay, the title in my present is Islam and Sustainability Development. Why I present with this topic? At least there are three reasons. The first, it is related about my position as the head of the Master of Economics because we have the program Master of Economics that we have two concentrations. The first is Islamic economics, and secondly is sustainability development economics. Jadi kita punya, jadi alasannya mengapa topiknya kok ini Islam dan pembangunan berkelanjutan. Paling tidak alasannya satu, kita tuh punya program master namanya Magister Ekonomi dengan dua konsentrasi. Apa itu? Ekonomi Islam dan ekonomi pembangunan berkelanjutan. Kok disampaikan di forum ini sih? Sambil promosi, gitu ya. Maybe there are the participants after you finish your study, graduate from the Department of Economics, you will continue your study in Master of Economics in Telp. Okay, and secondly, the reasons why I present this topic, the sustainable development, as the Mr. Prof. Anand said, complete with the picture, it is the realistic, it is the real fact, especially in the Islamic countries, and also in our country, Indonesia. You can see, more picture, in land, in city, in river, in road, and so on and so on. It is. So it means we have to understand how about the Islamic perspective and how about the Islamic value to understand about the concept of sustainable development. Okay. It is, and number three, it is related about our institutions, that our vision is, how do you remember about the vision of UMY? Masih ingat enggak? Visi UMY menjadi perguruan tinggi yang unggul dan Islami. There are the terminology of Islam. So it means that all of activity, all of program, agenda should combine with the Islamic perspective, like in this activity. Okay, next. Okay, this the outline, introduction, maqasid syariah, sustainability development, empirical evidence, and last is conclusion. Okay, next. Okay, jadi if we discuss about the Islam and how about the related about the sustainable development, so we have to understand about the meaning of maqasid syariah. Okay, maqasid. What is maqasid syariah? Apa itu maqasid syariah? Maqasid itu dari kata-kata yang mungkin sama dengan maksud, ya. Maksud dan tujuan dari syariat Islam. Ada yang tahu nomor satu apa nomor satu? Nomor satu apa maqasid syariah? Perlindungan terhadap agama. Hifdzuddin. It is the top level in the maqasid syariah. Ya, jadi sebelum yang lainnya, so it is the first level of maqasid syariah. Hifdzuddin. Ya. Perlindungan terhadap agama. Why? Hifdzuddin is the first level in the maqasid syariah. It is related about the guidance of the behavior of peoples in the world. Yeah, how to make the good performance, the good behavior, yeah, the good activity, not only ourselves and also the others. Yeah, not only today but also today after. Not only today generation but also the next generation. Yeah, like the present by Mr. Prof. Anand. Ya. Jadi mengapa perlindungan terhadap agama ini ditempatkan yang pertama? Karena agama ini adalah menyangkut guidance, ya, pedoman kita agar supaya perilaku kita itu jadi perilaku yang semakin baik, semakin tertata. Bumi ini diciptakan Allah, ya. Allah create the universe is the good, ya, and right, ya. Okay, but there are many problems in the world, yeah. Depend on the behavior of people. Ya. Jadi bumi ini diciptakan dengan begitu rapi, tepat, indah, sesuai, ya. Tapi bisa menjadi tidak baik oleh siapa? Oleh perilaku manusia. Lah, bagaimana agar supaya perilaku manusia ini baik? Nah, it is related about the guidance. In Islamic perspective, it is related about the guidance in Islam, ya, followed by Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Okay, this next, ya, you can see, ya, there are three kinds of the necessity, ya, the maqasid syariah, the necessities, needs, and luxuries. Yeah, necessities, it is, you know, the kinds of goods and services. The first is kebutuhan pokok. Necessities is kebutuhan pokok atau kebutuhan primer. Primer, sekunder, tersier. Ya. Necessities, what kinds? What the examples of the necessities? Goods. Ya, maybe makan, sandang, apa, water, and like that. Okay, and needs, it is hajian, ya, tersier. It is not related about the basic need, ya. Okay, ya, and the last is luxuries. HP include in the necessities, hajiat or luxury. HP itu termasuk kebutuhan dasar, kebutuhan primer, sekunder, atau tersier? Primer. Okay, up to you, ya, up to you. Okay, next. Okay, ya, do you know it is the necessities, ya, daruriyat. Protection of faith, ya, or hifdzuddin, ya, and protection of life, ya, it is the second level of the maqasid syariah. Jadi perlindungan terhadap kehidupan, perlindungan terhadap jiwa, ya. Jadi kalau tadi dikatakan Mr. Anand, ya, bagaimana kerusakan yang ditimbulkan. Jadi there are the contradictions between the goals of the activity, the economic activity to reach the prosperity. Do you know prosperity? What is prosperity? Nah, kemakmuran, ya, kemakmuran, kesejahteraan. Orang itu ingin hidup sejahtera, tapi ada nggak dampak dari perilaku ingin hidup sejahtera, makmur? Lah, biasanya ada, ya. There are contradiction between how the activity of people to reach the prosperity. It is the negative impact, ya, with the environment, ya, the needs of electricity, ya, of English before you stay in this for fifth level, you prefer with the lift, not the stair. Gitu. Jadi Anda pada saat ke lantai 5 tadi lewat lift atau pakai tangga tadi? Apa pakai lift? Capek, nyaman. Nah itu do you know how many budget, how many fund, how many power, and how many resources, paid to operate the lift, okay, it is the real phenomena about the behavior of people, okay, and the last is protections of property, okay, next. Jadi kita bicara mengenai pembangunan berkelanjutan, sustainable development. Jadi pembangunan berkelanjutan berarti bicara tentang apa? Tentang bagaimana kita melihat fenomena pertama, ketersediaan sumber daya. Tadi disampaikan oleh Prof. Anan, problemnya adalah scarcity. Jadi scarcity ini sebenarnya sebuah terminologi ekonomi yang menunjukkan adanya keterbatasan sumber daya untuk memenuhi kebutuhan. Tapi bukan berarti kemudian sumber daya itu tidak ada, enggak. Ya. Scarcity is more serious problem. It is depend on how the behavior of people to use it, to utilize the resources to fulfill their needs. Jadi tergantung bagaimana perilaku kita dalam menggunakan sumber daya untuk memenuhi kebutuhan. Jadi kalau kita penuh perhitungan, artinya kita bisa menjaga keberlangsungan sumber daya, misalnya kayak air tadi kemudian tanah, udara, sedemikian rupa, maka insya Allah problem masalah lingkungan itu bisa diatasi. Kemudian yang lainnya konsep pembangunan berkelanjutan itu apa? Menyangkut kelangsungan, related about how the next generation can also realize their prosperity at least the same with we take today. Jadi paling tidak generasi yang akan datang itu bisa menikmati apa yang kita rasakan sekarang ini. Jadi kalau adik-adik sekarang ini bisa minum, bisa makan, bisa punya HP, bisa punya rumah dan sebagainya, bisa naik kendaraan. Minimal generasi yang akan datang itu juga bisa merasakan hal yang sama, minimal syukur-syukur lebih baik, It means that the previous generation have the apa istilahnya, punya hutang, What is hutang in English? Debt, have the debt to the next generation related about the resources. Jadi the previous resources not only use it the generations today, but also to fulfill the next generation. Jadi itu. Okay. Next. Okay, there are three pillars, Three pillars about the sustainable development. The first is economic development, and secondly, social sustainable, and the last is cultural sustainable. Economic sustainable, social sustainable, and cultural sustainable. So it means related about the behavior of the people. How to make the balances between the availability of resources to need it to fulfill their needs. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, the cultural sustainable, it is consists of cultural individual and cultural diversity spread in various countries. Okay, it is also can make how we bagaimana kita itu menggunakan sumber daya. Jadi budaya, perilaku yang didorong oleh adanya perkembangan teknologi informasi ini juga bisa mempengaruhi. Ya, inilah pentingnya etis ya, pentingnya bagaimana kita punya prinsip dalam hidup ini. Ya, terutama kaitannya dengan bagaimana menjaga kelestarian lingkungan. Jangan asal kita ikutan. Kalau hal itu sekiranya membahayakan, mengganggu, ya, mengurangi keseimbangan kelestarian alam, maka jangan sampai kita lakukan. Mungkin tepat di tempat yang lain, tapi tidak tepat di tempat kita, ya, dan sebagainya. Jadi itu ya related about the cultural sustainable. Okay, next. And social sustainable, it is related about the systematic community participation, strong civil society, including government, and generally accepted standard of honesty that related about the tolerance, compassion, patience, love, and also gender equality. Yeah, it is social sustainability. Ya. Jadi sebagai contoh misalnya, bagaimana menjaga kelestarian hutan. Oke, do you know kelestarian hutan? Jadi salah satu problem misalnya kayak di Indonesia ini, ada nggak problem menyangkut masalah perlindungan hewan-hewan langka di Indonesia itu? Ada ya? Pernah nggak mendengar Anda berita tentang penggundulan hutan, kebakaran hutan? Ada? Banyak. Jadi itu juga disebabkan kaitannya dengan social sustainable. Bagaimana memberdayakan masyarakat yang ada di sekitar hutan. Jadi hutan itu harus memberdayakan, mensejahterakan. Bagaimana masyarakat itu bersahabat dengan hutan. Hutan bagian dari hidup masyarakat di sekitar. Jadi nanti masyarakat akan dengan otomatis dia akan berpartisipasi. Ya, it is how make the people, ya, environment, the forest include in this livelihood. Ya. Jadi harus menjaga. Jangan sampai masyarakat merusak hutan. Karena kalau merusak hutan berarti apa? Merusak kehidupan masyarakat itu. Ini salah satu konsep bagaimana menjaga kelestarian. Oke, next. Oke, Prof. Anan have mentioned ya, complete with the picture. Tadi Prof. Anan sudah menyampaikan secara rinci ya tentang SDGs ya, Sustainable Development Goals ya. Ada berapa SDGs? Berapa? 12 ya. 17 kurang 5. Oke ya. Itu sudah lengkap tadi. Jadi how about the relation between SDGs 17 and Islam? Ya, it is related about the makosid syariah. Ya, from the Hifdul until the Hifdul property. Ya, okay. Next. And it is ya the one phenomena related about the problem of environment, ya, the CO, ya, emissions from fuel combustion, ya, in ASEAN, ya, you can see, ya, more increase, ya, more time, more increase, ya, and Indonesia it is, ya, the highest, ya, emissions, ya, CO2 emission in ASEAN. Why? Because the population, ya, it is the highest population in ASEAN. Okay, next. And also it is the data related about the electricity, yeah, manufacturing, residual, and agriculture forest. Okay. Next. Yeah. Okay. Next. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Based on the theoretical, yeah, framework, yeah, they are related about the income per capita and environmental degradation, yeah, like the mountain, yeah, the form like the mountain. More increase the income per capita, more increase the degradations, ya, environmental degradation. Jadi semakin tinggi pendapatan per kapita di tahap awal itu akan semakin serius problemnya. Sampai pada satu titik, ya, ada adaptation, ya, the social adaptation, the cultural adaptation, and also the economic adaptation. So more slow down. Yeah, it is the environment is getting better. But persoalannya adalah di tingkat pendapatan per kapita berapa, ya? Apa ada hubungan yang semakin membaik antara peningkatan pendapatan per kapita dengan degradasi lingkungan. Oke, next. Yes, next. Yes, dah. Cukup, kira-kira ya. I think enough, ya. My presentations, ya. And we will complete with the discussions, ya. Now, Mr. Susilo, as the moderator, will give you the opportunity. Maybe you give the questions or comment, yeah, related about this topic. Okay, thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the presentations. Okay, everyone who will want to ask questions for the presenter or the second presenter, please raise your hand. One, two, okay, one more. Students. Yeah, three. Okay, three first. And three. The MC.
Mas Naim. Oh, terus. Okay.
Hello, my name is Fan. So I'm from Bangladesh. We're neighbors. So thank you very much for your outstanding presentation to Professor Dr. Kanan and Professor Dr. Abdul. It was very insightful and thought-provoking. So I just want to talk about it was about the slum in Bombay. Previously, I have mentioned that government legally cannot provide water there. I couldn't really comprehend the reasons. Could you please elaborate a bit more? And my second question would be to you, like, do we have any effective but simple suggestion, for, I mean, what we can do for to contribute sustainable water supply to our community? That was my. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reza. Next is Aisha.
My name is Aisha, and I'm from the Gambia, full-time nursing student. So, to profession, and I wanted to ask a question. I have two questions actually. So the first one is like, in your opinion, talking about the weather pandemic, which we know that in most parts of West Africa or Africa, there are a lot of people, countries like Malawi and others, they have weather pandemic. Like, what what are the main barriers or obstacles to implementing sustainable water management practices on those type of communities? So my second question is, how can the concept of circular economy be applied to water management to minimize waste and maximize the results efficiently in water scarce regions like this?
Yeah, thank you, Aisha. Thanks.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Tia Jomina Isabella. I'm a student of economic program. I have a question. How does the government handle food estate project that cause deforestation? Dalam bahasa Indonesia-nya, kenapa sih pemerintah itu proyek yang ditangani oleh pemerintah food estate ini itu menyebabkan deforestasi, sedangkan kita sebagai bangsa Indonesia itu harus mengimplementasikan SDGs. Itu saja, thank you.
Sorry, your question is for
Both.
both. Okay. Okay, maybe Ramanan can answer first.
Thank you. Is this working? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for those questions. In a hot room like this on a Friday afternoon, when we are speaking, we don't know if you are paying attention, if you are listening or not. You are busy with WhatsApp or Instagram. I don't know. So, but through the questions, you have proved that you not only paid attention, but you have actually been thinking a lot about these issues. So we feel really grateful for that. So thank you for those questions. So first one, thank you. Apni bhalo achen? So I know Bengali very well. I lived in Kolkata for some time, so at the time I learned. So I think those pictures could have been equally of Dhaka, for example. So many cities have low-income settlements, which are sometimes you may call them slums. In Latin America, they're called favelas. So in parts of Africa, also we have this, Kibera slum in Nairobi. It's very, very famous, very large slum in Africa, for example. So the first question is, why are people living in such kind of a crowded conditions? So that means those people have to live in that location, but they cannot afford the houses in that location. So their income level is very low compared to the cost of the houses there. So the solution for that is one kind of solution I showed, where government allows the private sector to give incentives to private sector to build houses for them, provided everybody in the slum is accommodated. Then the extra land they can use for some other purpose. But usually, typically, slums have very high population density. So the private sector has to really be imaginative to squeeze every square meter so that they can accommodate all the people in the slum, plus generate more houses to sell in the market to recover the cost, right? So that is one solution. In all conditions, it's not possible. It can also take 15, 20 years for the builder to build all these things. During this time, the slum is relocated somewhere else. The people are displaced. They are temporarily relocated. So it causes huge amount of distress for them. So unless we manage all of that properly, rehousing people in the slums is extremely difficult, complex. It requires a lot of coordination. It is possible. Many countries have done that, but those three things have to be taken into account. So what is the other way? A lot of NGOs are working in slums, and the other way is it's called self-help. Self-help means you enable the people in the slums to build the house through incremental housing. So you provide them some resources. First of all, you recognize their right to exist there. You give them the title deed, the property right. Once you give the property right to the land, then they are secure that nobody can evict them. Then they can invest money in building. So for that, you have to provide technology, you have to provide materials, resources like that, right? But even that is difficult because the land usually where they are located is either on the river banks where it is flooded, prone to flooding. Like in Jogja here, along the river, you had, kampungs. So if the land is subject to flooding, you cannot give title deed to the people, but that means you are putting them in danger zone. You cannot do that. So government has a responsibility to provide alternative accommodation. But usually the alternative accommodation is 30, 40 kilometers away. And these people cannot afford to travel 2 hours by train to come to their job. Most of them are working as informal, unorganized sector. They're working in house, for example, cleaning and things like that. Yeah. Or they're having a shop selling little things, as souvenirs or whatever to the tourists or day-to-day thing. So for them, the location is very important. They can't afford to live very far away. So that's why we are struggling. So in this particular case, the land belongs to central government, the port trust, and the port trust does not because this is not the only slum on port trust property. There are many other lands which are also occupied, and the port trust is trying to recover those lands. In a place like Bombay, land is more valuable than gold. Yeah, it's like a most precious commodity. So if port trusts start to give land to some people, then other people will occupy some other land, and this process will keep going on, right? So that's why they resist. So they do not know what to, how to solve this problem. So that's the reason why the people in this particular slum can eventually they will get rehoused, they will get proper houses, but may not be in the exactly same land. The municipal corporation is trying to provide them some alternative services at the moment. So that is that part. Your second question. Yes. Okay. I think there is a lot we can do. Civil society, I think, has a lot of role to play. The organization that I am working with, they're also a civil society organization. It is it's headed by a doctor who used to work in USA, and then she decided to resign. Then she come back and she started it. And so there are a lot of individuals are doing. So number one, giving access to education. Children living in slums usually have access barrier for schools and education. So anything we can do in that regard is very important. Helping to promote health awareness, for example. So the organization that I mentioned, it's called Bukar. So they train actually people living in the slums to become skilled. So not skills for jobs, skilled as researchers. They empower them to conduct research. They empower them to collect data on their own slum. So these are called youth fellowship. So through youth fellowship, they are empowering the youth from the slum to become more aware, more analytical. So these people created a project proposal to provide street lights when the girls in the slum were facing difficulty while coming back from college. So because there are no street lights there, it was done. So they created a project proposal. Then they went and presented to the commissioner of Bombay, and then the commissioner immediately said, "Oh, okay, we have to provide safety for this." So in that way, we can change through education and by giving access. Yeah. So these number three is kind of in a way, I think the Muhammadiyah organization is a very good example of that. So through collective action, we can create enough resources to change some of the social issues. So I think those are three ways in which we can. Individually, we can do little, but together we can do a lot. Yeah. So that's I think is very important. So thank you for those. Yeah. Yeah, so so thank you very much. I haven't been to Gambia, but I have been to some of your neighboring countries. So I hope one day I'll go to Banjul. But there are in African context, I think many countries are doing actually, they are dealing with water scarcity better. There is a problem in West Africa. In fact, I had some slides about the Sahel. I was going to present, but I thought for time I remove it. So yes, there is kind of a lot of dryness, etc., aridity caused by climate change, etc. But most often in our research, we found that it is not climate change which is the main reason why people don't have access to water. People are blaming it on climate change, but it is actually usually policy failure or institutional failure. So first, if we solve those, I think there is enough water to manage. In most countries, of the amount of water that's available, only 4-5% is used for drinking purposes. 60-70% is used for agriculture. 10-20% is for industry and other things. Okay. So for meeting the requirements of drinking water, the amount of water needed is very little. We can manage it. So for that, we need to provide, those kinds of institutions, develop those kinds of institutions. The second point about circularity, I think circularity is much more relevant for waste problem than for water problem. It is eventually water problem also. I think we need circularity, but it is a lot more expensive because then we need, for example, in some cities they are trying within the house 2 sets of pipelines, one for fresh water, which is only for potable water. The other is less good quality water, which is enough for flushing. At the moment, we are in many cities, we are flushing down the toilet very good quality water. You don't need that high quality water to flush the toilet. You just need any water, right? So if you can lay down 2 sets of pipelines, one set of pipeline only for drinking water, keep it safe. The other line can be only for salt water or not so clean water. It's enough safe so that no germs are spreading, but it doesn't have to be drinking water level quality. So if you can afford that, then those two side kinds of solutions, then you can use so sewage treatment plant the water coming out of sewage treatment plant after treating is good enough for flushing. So that is a circularity, right? But it's very, very expensive. We don't need circularity. Even basic steps we can take is sufficient. Avoiding wastage of water, developing new kinds of technologies which can stop water from, detect water from flowing. There are a lot of smart technologies. Leaks, a lot of water is leaking. About 30% of water from the pipelines, gets leaked. About 30%. In some cases, it's even more. Yeah. So if we can stop that amount of water getting lost in distribution transmission, then we have achieved a lot. We don't need circularity for water. Eventually, we will get it in 100 years' time, because by the time prosperity means we will manage. But at the moment, it's too expensive. The circularity but circularity for waste, I think, is fundamental. That is, we can achieve it straight away. Technology is there. It's only lack of will. We are not doing it because we are not paying attention. Is that okay? Thank you. Right. So your final question is for both of us. I'll let Professor Imam answer first, and then I'll come back.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I would like to add the answers. Yeah. And really have a very complete answer by Mr. Prof. Anand. Yeah. Okay, related about the deforestation. Yeah. So it is the common problem, yeah, related about the development economic, yeah, in the developing countries, yeah, like in Indonesia. Yeah. So in the macro economic perspective, so we have to the countries have to change, yeah, the strategy of the development, yeah, from natural based development to knowledge based development. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it is related about the how to improve the human, yeah, development index, how to increase, yeah, the quality of human resources. Yeah. And especially the case in the deforestation, so the strategy how the people more increase the participations, yeah, to get the benefit from the forest. Yeah. So it means it is the kinds of the incentive, yeah, in the social aspect, ya, social problem in development economics, ya. Jadi untuk mengatasi deforestasi, maka strategi secara makroekonomi, pembangunan ekonomi itu harus mulai bergeser, ya, dari pembangunan yang berbasis sumber daya ke pembangunan yang berbasis ilmu pengetahuan. Ya, contohnya seperti kita lihat, ya, produk-produk IT, ya, itu kan penggunaan sumber dayanya kan kecil sekali, ya, dibandingkan dengan pembangunan yang berbasis sumber daya alam. Misalnya apa? Pembangunan berbasis sumber daya alam. Ya kayak pertambangan, ya toh? Apalagi itu? Pertambangan, apa? IKN, ya, dan sebagainya, ya. Coba kita bayangkan bagaimana pembangunan itu bisa mensejahterakan kalau kemudian merusak, ya. Terus kaitannya dengan deforestasi, maka masyarakat harus dilibatkan di dalam mengelola hutan. Ya. Dilibatkan dalam mengelola hutan. Jadi hutan untuk kesejahteraan, ya. Hutan for the prosperity. Ya. Jadi hutan untuk kesejahteraan. Artinya apa? Artinya masyarakat harus bisa mendapatkan manfaat dari hutan itu. Maka dia akan sadar nggak akan merusak hutan. Gitu. Jadi yang merusak hutan itu pertama ya government itu. So we have to improve the political will by the government to change the strategy of development. Jadi harus merubah strategi pembangunan. Selama pembangunan itu masih berorientasi pada sumber daya, ya akan terus terancam. Ya. Like the case of the pembakaran hutan, ya, atau kebakaran hutan, ya, itu juga sebenarnya problemnya adalah problem pembangunan juga berbasis sumber daya alam, ya, itu. Jadi saya kira seperti itu, ya. Thank you.
Very briefly, I agree with Professor Imam. I think, again, going back to, as I said, if there is forest being cut down, we have to then ask question, where are the incentives here? Is there an incentive problem, right? So usually there is an incentive problem in the sense that there is incentive for local people not to take care of the forest. Cutting the forest is the best option economically, then there will be deforestation. It doesn't matter how many big billboards we put saying, please don't cut forest. Nobody's going to listen if the incentive is in the wrong direction, right? So we have to understand where is the cost of fuel, where is the cost of, who has access to energy, how is this possible, etc. If we don't give access to clean energy, then a lot of people will have no other option but to cut down trees. We cannot say, oh, we can't say they're stupid. They're not stupid. They have to cook the food, they have to feed their children. They are as rational as you and I, right? The only thing is within their resources, that is the only best solution. So they are going for it, right? So we have to change that. So we have seen in many cases with evidence that where you provide good, clean energy, access to energy, you change the incentives, then people have the incentive to take care of the forest. Similarly, in the case of wildlife tourism, we have found that when people don't have incentive to protect the wildlife, then a lot of wildlife will get killed. When the ivory ban, before ivory ban came into effect, so a lot of elephants were being killed because if you live in the village near, the location of the elephant, and you know that if the elephant is killed, it has $5,000, worth of value to the poacher, and the poacher is happy to give you $100. $100 for a poor person is a lot of money. So then they will give information to the poacher saying that, please come, there are 10 elephants here. Then the poacher comes, just need to shoot. They cut the ivory and then they give $100 to this person, go away, right? So incentive program. So you create the opposite. So for every live elephant, the villager get paid, certain amount of money. The village will get paid money only if all the 15 elephants are alive. Even if one elephant get killed, the village doesn't get any money. Then villagers are watching each other and nobody is owning the butcher. So you change the incentive problem to conservation problem, right? So it's same happens in the case of deforestation. Thank you.
From Imam, from the students or other participants, do you still want to have questions? Okay. And one more? Brother, you want? So two last questions.
So my background is not economic, it's not from economy. I'm just curious, what how do you see about the future of the global development after the SDGs? So where are we moving, and how the war, pandemics, and climate change will influence our future of the global development? For example, in Europe, currently people are working with bioeconomy. And as scholars, we are invited to make our research with this new check. We are also familiar. So I was thinking whether this bioeconomy will become the future, our global economy. And last but not the least, I'm always interested in listening to your lecture. It's like listening to Amartya speech on YouTube. And you mentioned justice as a check. I'm currently working on environmental justice of palm oil. And how do you understand justice in your perspective? Thank you.
My name is Muhammad Kamal Professor. I want to ask for economic student about this SDGs, the goals of gender equality, reiterating the goals SDGs. One of them state that the goal of SDGs is gender equality, but in India, many people still adhere to the Hindu or Buddhist caste system. Do the district from the purpose of the SDG?
where I know that the caste system in India is quite discriminated to development of gender equality or a person opportunity to achieve something. Actually, this is why I'm from India. If I'm wrong, incorrect. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Amir.
Yes, bro.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Vijay, thank you very much for very interesting questions. The first one, what will come after SDGs? Discussion is already beginning. We do not know, but we can be sure that SDGs will not be the end by 2030 because on many things, no poverty, zero hunger, yeah, or number 13, climate change. These problems will still be there. Do you think by 2030 there will be zero hunger? I don't think so. The world has enough food right now to achieve zero hunger, but there are still, at least 600-700 million people who are food insecure. So as you mentioned about Professor Aman, the same guru for all of us, we have all learned so much and we still continue to learn from his writings. So he has shown in his work that famines are not caused by lack of rains, but famines are caused by the entitlement deprivation. So I think that's the same, it continues the same. So there are institutional failures, there are distribution failures, there are lack of responsibility, accountability. All of these are the ones which are causing the food insecurity problem. It's not the amount of food we grow. A lot of countries grow a lot more food than they need. And some of this is stored, some of this is wasted, some of this is sold, yeah, traded, etc., and converted into biofuels. So you're talking about bioeconomy. So I think we have to be careful. So I think number one, I think beyond SDGs, there need to be still, I think there will be development goals for 2050. I think so. But the language may change. I think some of them are becoming more complex. But I go back also to Professor Imam's presentation. So I think the mechanical kind of targets are no longer enough. I think the future targets will be about our behaviors, about our ethics, and about our responsibility. I think those will be the kind of targets for future, right? So it's not about how much CO2 you can reduce or how much water you distribute. It's not about that. I think it will be more about how can you prove that you are a responsible nation? How are you taking care of your biodiversity? How are you taking care of equality? He mentioned about equality, right? So I think that's how it will be. That's my thinking. We still have 7 years before 2030. There will be a lot of discussion between now and 2030. But I'm pretty sure it's not the end of it. I think we will have development goals probably going to 2050 next time, right? So that's the second one, justice. I think right at the beginning, I said, at the heart of sustainability is about our carefulness, our responsibility to future generations, but also all other living beings, right? So some living beings are threatened by our behaviors. Overfishing, for example, there is poaching and wildlife, being damaged, and the amount of, kind of animal protein that we are consuming is consuming a lot of the plant protein required for that. So that is driving some of the deforestation. She asked the question about deforestation. Some of the Amazon rainforest is converted into grasslands, and the grass is being fed to the cows, and the cows are being used mainly for, to supply for beef industry. So it will raise questions to us in terms of how we can change our behavior. Some people think that there are a lot more synthetic proteins will be developed in the future. Technology, is coming up. So at the moment, we are resisting those synthetic proteins, but in future, I think those will become necessity, if you like, if you want to really protect the rainforest and things like that. So those are, I think, some of the things. The other thing you haven't mentioned is AI, artificial intelligence, right? So AI is at the moment is a very, very important issue in terms of, again, Professor Imam mentioned about knowledge economy, moving from resource economy to knowledge economy, right? So when we are going into knowledge economy, at the moment, artificial intelligence is threatening some of the existing ways in which we create the knowledge economy. The present way we create knowledge economy is by acknowledging intellectual property. and innovation is driven by that, right? Because if you innovate, this will become Resolve's intellectual property, then Resolve will get the benefit. So that gives you the incentive to innovate. Whereas AI is breaking that. It is absorbing from everybody's intellectual property and the benefit is going to the AI company. So then that will slow down innovation in some respects. It will cause huge levels of insecurity. So how we can break that at the moment, we still don't know. We are still working on it, right? So those I think will be part of, it has to become part of our solution. At the moment, those who are working in AI are telling us, oh, don't worry, it is very safe. We'll provide you a lot of solutions. No, but we can't trust them. So until that transition takes place, right? So I think those will be part of that. But at the heart of anything about sustainable development is a question of justice. It is, so we cannot, there is nothing else about sustainability. It's not about animals, it's about justice. Whenever there is injustice, that is unsustainable, right? So any form of it. I showed the water scarcity issue, I showed the slums, I showed, the source, the water is coming from that village. Those people in the village are having water scarcity, but water from 500 meters from their house is going to Bombay, right? So these are kind of things which we have to tackle. So it is actually fundamental. Coming back to the caste system issue, there are lots of structural inequalities in our society, of which caste system is one example, right? There is gender inequality in many countries, even where there is no caste system. So caste system alone is not, is the cause of gender equality. It is a very abhorrent system. We have to, through education, through awareness, etc., it has to be challenged. It has to be through legislation, through education. It's being changed, but progress is slow, right? India also still has world's largest number of illiterate people, right? So progress is slow. So until all of that takes place, modernization and changing of, education and all those things, I think some of that remains. But caste system alone is not the barrier, right? So it's a very most countries have very masculine kind of institutional structures. So where boys, men have preference. The Nobel Prize in Economics recently pointed to Harvard professor. She worked on why there is so much wage difference between women and men. So women have the penalty caused by pregnancy. The women, so both are equally clever. They both graduate PhD. But while doing PhD, the woman PhD student gets pregnant. So for 18 months, she's not able to concentrate on her work, whereas the male person completed. So at the end of 5 years, the male person already finished PhD, has 2 papers. The woman is still trying to complete the PhD. So there is a lecturer job. Who is going to get the job? The male person is going to get the job. So this kind of structural inequality reinforces further inequality. So that's what causes the gender gap. So over lifetime, the women's career development is obstructed because of the overburdening responsibility of pregnancy falling on the woman, right? So we have to change that. Some countries have changed it. You are in Finland, so in the Scandinavian countries, they're trying to change it by paternity law rather than maternity. So that means both parents can decide who is going to take care of the child rather than automatically putting the woman in charge of childcare responsibility, right? So those kinds of structural inequalities have to be tackled. So unless we challenge and change those, so caste system is a good example of that, but that alone is not the barrier. There are so many other barriers as well. Is that okay? I can talk about caste system a lot. That's fine because it's a very important social issue, but it is also a lot misunderstood. So if something is really bad, why will people follow it? So if you say that, for example, it's like they have some. See, over a period of time, the politics has changed in such a way that then caste-based identity becomes the unifying ground for collective action. So then a person voluntarily identifies as that caste because that gives them that bondage. Yeah, in social capital, we have two terminology. One is called bonding social capital, another is bridging social capital. The bonding social capital is in a homogeneous group, everybody joins together. So this person is of, suppose I am a Dalit, in the political system, because that gives me weight, then I want to be a Dalit and I want to, then I'm going around asking people that I'm a Dalit person. So that is the only way I can get voice. There is no other way I can get voice to represent me. That's what I have to do, right? So that is also there. So we have to understand that and how we can build better democracy, which doesn't require you to, identify. So that process has to take place. So at the moment, I think caste is highly politicized. So that then reinforces the existing inequality. It locks in. Yeah. Economics, again, we call it locked in. Yeah, so it locks in our path dependency. So there's a path dependence. I think that's what is causing caste system to prevail. Otherwise, it should have disappeared by now. It's prevailing because it became politicized. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hanan and Prof. Imam. So we finish our session today, and what we can get from this discussion is to achieve the sustainable development goals, we need to have the incentive, and then we need to accelerate the our actions, and then we need to reduce the scarcity. And also, in the Islamic perspective, we also need to achieve the Maqasid Syariah as the part of sustainable development goals. And ladies and gentlemen, as we draw the curtains on this insightful seminar, focus on the intersections of moderation and sustainable development, I want to extend my sincere appreciation to each of you for your enthusiastic participation and thought-provoking contribution. Let us carry forward the spirit of collaborations and shared responsibility. And just as sustainable development seeks to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Thank you for commitment to the ideals of sustainable development and being agents of the positive change in sustainable world. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Untuk yang kelas saya, passwordnya, oke, saya buka lagi. Passwordnya sama. Passwordnya negara yang melimpah airnya dari apa?
Diana. Diana.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for yeah, he has to close it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's me once again. So as time swiftly passes, we find ourselves at the edge of today's event. Before we conclude, I would like to express gratitude to our esteemed speakers, Professor Dr. Anand and Professor Dr. Imamuddin, for their insightful and thought-provoking presentation, as well as to our honorable moderator, Dr. Susilo. Can we have a round of applause for three of them, please? I want to take one more moment to say thank you to our all lovely participants. Without you all, this agenda could never be accomplished. We want to hear one more applause for our participants. Next, we have a brief session for presenting a plaque to Professor Anand, which will be led by Professor Imamuddin. Okay.